By day a charming prince, by night a bloodthirsty beast. When role-based horror games swept the globe, everyone was forced into their own nightmare. I was thrown into a dark fairy tale world. Every story here was turned upside down. Horror games wrapped in candy-colored glass. Behind the sweet facade of fairy tales, what was truly hidden? Congratulations, you've been chosen for the horror world. Here you'll enjoy an unparalleled dreamlike journey. The supervisor's voice echoed from outside. A black crow appeared before my eyes. Its beady eyes stared straight at me. A year ago, horror games hit Earth, near their zones. You'd likely be selected by the game, dragged inside. If you died there, you died in reality too. Only by clearing the game could you return, but that didn't mean it was over. Once pulled into the horror world, you had to play a game every 7 days. A giant lottery box appeared before me. Inside sat colorful balls. Each represented a different horror category. I took a deep breath. I grabbed a pink ball on instinct. The moment the pink ball opened, cheerful bell sounds rang out. Dreamers and glitter rained from above. Ding dong. You drew the fairy tale category. Your luck is truly unparalleled. Then my mind was filled with a burst of cheerful music. A female voice laced with static echoed in my head. Welcome to the fairy tale horror game. This round's theme is The Little Mermaid. As the most beloved mermaid in the sea, you long for everything above the waves. One stormy night, you saved the prince. His handsome looks captivated you. You fell deeply for him. For him, you willingly bargained with the witch, trading your tail for legs. Every step after felt like walking on knives. But the prince was to marry a princess. The wedding was set for 5 days later, and on the 5th day, at dawn's first light, Yao turned to foam. Next theme. The Little Mermaid's mission requirements. Survive until after the wedding. Remember the following rules. Rule 1. The fairy tale world changes at night. Try not to go outside. Don't worry if you do, before the final moment arrives. The fairy tale world is always beautiful. Rule 2. Remember you are a mermaid. Mermaids need water regularly. Rule 3. The princess is beautiful and kind, wearing a white dress. In everyone's eyes, she is a sweet little cake. Rule 4. Be careful with food even if they smell delicious. Rule 5. A wedding is a happy day. Everyone will celebrate in their own way. Before I could react, the space before me suddenly began to crack, collapsing before my eyes. After a mysterious whirl, I opened my eyes. I tried to stand up, but the moment I rose, with knife-like pain, 2 faint whimpers, great, mute from the start. Walking made me half crippled. Oh God, why is such a fragile lady here? Beautiful miss, do you need my help? A magnetic voice suddenly sounded behind me. I froze and turned around. On the beach, empty moments ago, there appeared somehow a man in court attire. He possessed a perfectly sculpted face, and that striking, extraordinary attire. This man's identity was almost certain. The Prince Ariel fell for at first sight. I couldn't speak, only looked up, with eyes full of tenderness, silently gazing at him, pointing at my throat, gently shaking my head. Can't you speak? Eric crouched down to my level. His voice was soft, listening closely. There was a strange hoarseness, a beautiful young mute girl, a gift from God to him. Just imagine, his body would, in sheer terror, tremble slightly, tears streaming down her cheeks, without a single sound. He nearly had the image in his mind. Fainted from excitement. A strange feeling welled up in me. The prince's gaze was unusually intense, as if seeing fragile treasure, while barely restraining something, so much that his smile looked somewhat stiff. I nodded, resigned to myself, wrote my name in the sand. Ariel. The prince read my name, smiled and praised. What a beautiful name. Eric. Where's your family? How could they leave you alone? I shook my head, lowering my head slightly, putting on a sad expression. Poor girl. Eric understood. The look he gave me grew even more intense. Then come home with me. Eric gracefully offered his hand. I am the prince of this land. In 5 days, my wedding with Princess Grace. I doubt Grace would mind. One extra guest. Compared to the prince in the fairy tales, this prince before me was visibly odd. But I had no choice, so I raised my chin, seeming to hesitate, then biting my lip, nervously placed my hand into his palm. Soon, we arrived at a magnificent ancient path. Every corner exuded a dreamy aura. It was dinner time. Oh, I'm sure y'all love tonight's dinner. At the dining table sat a beautiful girl wearing a white gown. She had lovely golden hair. Eric, When she saw us, approached with a gentle smile. Noticing me, she asked with surprise, "And this is?" Eric stepped forward, cleared his throat, then pointed at me and explained. "Her name is Erin, an orphan I found by the sea." Grace's face lit up with a vivid expression, making her look almost like a fairy. "Compassionate, poor girl. The castle has the finest cook." Eric smiled, sitting across from us. He stressed again, "Y'all love her cooking." Eric's repeated emphasis only made me uneasy. I began plotting how to decline the meal. Maids soon filed in, laid out the utensils neatly. In just a moment, rich steam and aroma filled the air. Grace and Eric grabbed their cutlery eagerly, began enjoying the meal. They ate quite elegantly, yet at an astonishing pace. I tasted the sweetness, swallowed the food with difficulty. My craving for this food, longing. "Why aren't you eating?" Eric suddenly asked. I froze for a moment. These things clearly looked abnormal, and the rules clearly stated, "Be cautious with food in the copy." I had no reason to refuse, so I picked up my cutlery, carefully chose a potato at the edge. After mentally preparing myself, I finally put it in my mouth. Current contamination level 5. Be warned, when contamination exceeds 60, you will descend into madness. The system voice suddenly rang in my head, jolting me alert. The sudden surge of appetite within me receded somewhat. I picked up the glass beside me, tilted my head and drained the water. Fortunately, the system didn't warn me of rising contamination. I hadn't forgotten the second rule of this world. Mermaids need to stay hydrated. After dinner, Grace personally arranged my lodging. A very spacious, bright bedroom, a window on the wall, facing the sea directly. The sea at night, even more mysterious, waves crashing violently. Though I couldn't hear them, I could still sense the sea's condition. I was born inland, had never seen the ocean before. I was momentarily dazed. Contamination value, 6%. A sudden sound made me freeze. I did nothing at all. Why did it rise? I recalled that dish on the table. Grest had specified. It was deep sea caught. Now just standing by the window, gazing at the sea, the value increased. Was it linked to the sea? I know so little here. I need more clues. The first rule told the players the danger of night, but it didn't ban going out, so I guessed going out would yield useful clues. The castle was quiet at night. The hallway was empty. I headed to the kitchen. Those strange meals tonight lingered in my mind. The kitchen might hold answers. 111. A sudden sound made me halt abruptly. My heart pounded wildly. From the kitchen, a faint noise came, like a woman weeping. The sound was faint. I carefully approached the kitchen. At the door I saw, the kitchen door wasn't fully shut. It was badly damaged. No light inside at all. Pitch black darkness. That dreadful crying grew clearer. The wail was like mental pollution, pouring into my mind. I shook my head hard. I couldn't control myself. I couldn't help but inch closer, pressing my face to the half-open crack, trying to see what was inside. I blinked desperately, until my eyes adjusted to the darkness. My heart clenched suddenly. I saw a pair of pure black eyes staring at me through the door crack. I didn't know how long I stared, still continuously emitting the whimpering cries. Current contamination level 20. My soul uncontrollably began trembling violently. My first instinct was to flee, but my body, paralyzed by fear, lost all ability to move. The person behind the door suddenly spoke. "It's you." The voice was hoarse from crying. It was clearly evident. A young girl. "Are you here for a midnight snack?" With a click, the kitchen door opened from within. The hidden figure finally revealed herself. Her skin had an unnatural blue-purple tint, though I only caught a glimpse. I still noticed she had long brown curly hair, adorned with a pearl hairpin, but that pearl hairpin was too conspicuous. I searched my memory, and instantly recalled where I had seen her before. She was the maid who stood beside me at dinner. I didn't have time to think further. I felt my pocket, grateful I hadn't taken out the paper and pen. I lowered my head and quickly wrote a line. "I ate too little tonight. I'm a bit hungry." The maid handed me a piece of white bread. I breathed a sigh of relief. Avoiding the spots she had touched, I tore off a piece and put it in my mouth. I looked at the cheap loaf of bread, wrote on the paper, "Why are you hiding here crying alone?" The maid's dark pupils blinked. She let out a muffled sob at those words. "My sister is gone," she told me. Maids often vanish in the castle. The prince said they angered the sea god. That's why they disappeared without a trace. At that point, the maid lowered her head and wept again. "If only someone could help me find my sister. Congratulations, player. Previous quest triggered. The missing maid. Find the truth behind the maid's disappearance. Quest appeared. Before the dungeon ended, a sudden pop-up window startled me. Unknown yet, but this quest clearly involves castle secrets. Perhaps a clue to escape. I wrote, maybe I can help. Tell me about your sister. The maid looked at me with joy. Really? My name is Lily. My sister is Emma. She is my twin. Lily took off her pearl hairpin and handed it to me. If you see my sister, give her this hairpin. Tonight's findings were enough. I decided not to linger outside, so I headed up the stairs. Just as I was about to enter my room, I suddenly heard a faint voice behind me, whispering right into my ear. Ariel, so late, where have you been? I pretended to look panicked. I turned to face Lilac, but my expression nearly froze at the sight. Like Lily, Alec looked completely different from daytime. The handsome prince by day was now bloated all over. I glanced at her timidly, took out my notebook, and wrote on a blank page. I was a bit hungry, so I went downstairs for some food. Lily can vouch for me. Alec remained expressionless. Better stay in your room at night. If you need anything, find me. I'm in the room next to yours. Her ugly face twisted into a terrifying smile. Then she left my room, pollution value 30, to calm my nerves. I went to the washroom, turned on the tap to rinse my face. Time passed. I only stopped when my cheeks began to feel hot. Finally, I looked up at myself in the mirror. My pupils shrank instantly the moment they focused on the reflection. The heartbeat I had barely calmed surged again in my chest. Pollution value 40. The girl in the mirror was no longer the sweet daytime version. Her beautiful blue eyes had turned pitch black. Her skin had an unnatural pallor, looking terribly swollen. I dared not look at the mirror again. Dragging my weary body back to bed, to gather strength, I forced my eyes shut. The next morning, the door was knocked on by a maid from outside. Miss Ariel, are you awake? Princess Grace told me to inform you. Today she and the prince will hold a lively pre-wedding party at sea. You must attend. Perhaps there will be clues on the ship. I smiled and nodded, signaling I was ready. After breakfast, we headed to the sea and boarded the huge ship. I looked around. The lower deck was a storage room. A big lock hung at the entrance leading below. Cool air seeped through the crack as I passed. I stopped and pushed the door open a crack. It was pitch dark inside. I couldn't see anything. Then, a faint female voice came from below. My heart skipped a beat before I could react. Suddenly, a maid appeared and grabbed me. Miss, Princess Grace is looking for you. What are you doing here? A maid looked at me and asked. I followed the maid to the main hall. It was lavishly decorated with food and wine everywhere. Everyone's attention was on the prince and princess. I didn't like such a lively scene. I went on deck to get some fresh air. I frowned, thinking how to get seawater. I stared at the sea, pondering my options. Then I heard a faint voice. I focused and looked toward the sea. Soon I noticed something unusual. Several faces bobbed among the waves. I looked closely at them. Those faces surfaced above the water. The young maidens before me were beautiful and lively. Their long, thick hair hid beneath the surface. They looked like blurry, dark shadows. Occasionally, fishtails flashed above the sea. Sisters, why are you here? I took out my notebook and wrote this. I held it up and asked. The watching mermaids had tears in their eyes. Tears welled up in their eyes. Ariel, you silly girl. You gave up being human for a man. You even lost your voice. Mermaid language sounded like singing. Sweet and moving. Is love worth more than your long life and freedom? Of course not, but I had no choice. In The Daughter of the Sea, Ariel once had a chance to live. Her sisters traded with the witch. They brought her a dagger. All she had to do was kill the prince. Smear the prince's blood on her legs. She could become a mermaid again and return to the sea. I wondered if it would work in this tale too. I won't give up any chance. I lowered my head and wrote quickly. Sorry, sisters. I was too willful. I deeply regret it now. Please ask the witch for me. If there's a way to become a mermaid again. A mermaid standing guard saw what she wrote. Astonishment appeared on her face. Well, go to the witch now to find a way for you. But Ariel, how will we notify you? The daytime is too crowded. I'm afraid of being discovered. So I wrote down, tonight at midnight, I'll wait here for you. The mermaids bid me farewell reluctantly. Beautiful bright fishtails flashed through the waves, soon disappeared from sight. Very quiet. The party lasted all day. It just ended. From daytime until now, my pollution level rose another 5. I'm probably severely dehydrated now. All day today, Ariel stayed by my side. No way to avoid Ariel's eyes. To get seawater, I gritted my teeth, enduring the pain, walked out with steps. This is the last chance, the resting place. Located on the second deck. Outside was a long corridor. On both sides of the corridor, candles for lighting, empty and silent. When I reached the deck, my body was soaked with sweat. On the daytime deck, clean and tidy, but now, not far from my feet, lay a fish, dead for who knows how long. Where I am right now, a huge barrel stands before me, hiding me completely. I held my breath, peeked out cautiously. What I saw before me made my eyes widen. Eric, so graceful by day, had completely transformed now. Eric lay flat on the deck, breathing heavily, piles of dead fish scattered around. He buried his head among them, eating like a wild beast. Anxiety rose within me. My legs couldn't hold me long. Wiped cold sweat from my brow. Couldn't help but shift my body. A clattering sound. Who's there? Eric's head among the fish jerked up suddenly, those pitch-black eyes, barely any white, cold and sinister, gazing toward my direction. Where did that empty screen come from? Cold sweat broke out instantly. Eric was highly alert, already straightened up, approaching step by step toward me. Who's there? Is that Eric? A wine bottle, suddenly hurled out forcefully, smashed against the ship's wall. With a loud crash, Eric froze at the shattered bottle, turned around, caught a glimpse of a white hand in the corner. His grin widened even more. He could no longer contain himself. Rushed forward with quickened steps. After seeing everything clearly, the curve of his smile suddenly froze solid. Where is she? Everything around, under the cold pale moonlight, was clearly visible. A hook fixed to the deck, holding a torn white skirt piece. But apart from that, there was nothing. How could no one be here? He circled the deck unwillingly, searching round after round, yet still found nothing. While I hid behind the barrel, unlike him, I was different. I gripped the rope tightly. Beneath me, the raging sea. Waves soaked my lower body. My leg wound hadn't healed. I braced for searing pain, but the pain I expected never came. The seawater washed over me, making me feel incredibly relaxed. The wound on my leg slowly began to heal. The itching that plagued me gradually faded away. So this hydration was as I guessed. It required seawater, current pollution level 50. Along with it came a pollution warning. I tugged at the rope, about to climb back up, when someone called my name. Ariel. I looked down and saw Ariel's sisters floating on the surface, looking up at me with worry. We found the sea witch and asked her if there was a way to turn you back into a mermaid. One mermaid swam forward. Only then did I notice their beautiful long hair was all gone, but besides their hair, they looked the same as in daylight. I was a bit confused, but I couldn't ask right now. We traded our hair with her. The mermaid raised her dagger. The dagger in moonlight gleamed coldly. Kill the prince with it. Smear her blood upon your legs. Your legs will become a tail again and regain long life. I reached out and grabbed it. As I gripped the dagger, a system voice rang out. Congratulations, player. Key plot item acquired. A magic dagger to kill the prince. My dear sister, you should no longer be fooled by foolish love and disappoint us again. One mermaid asked aloud, her voice ethereal and clear, her beautiful eyes fixed on me. I couldn't speak. I shook my head hard. My gaze was firm. Several mermaids surrounded me, singing the mermaid song. As they sang, white pearls fell from the corners of their eyes. Legend says mermaid tears become pearls with magical power. I watched this fantastical scene. My heart stirred slightly. At that moment, the system voice sounded again. Congratulations, player obtained mermaid's tears. Description from the tale of the Little Mermaid. Mermaid's tears carry sincere mermaid emotions, used to reduce pollution value. I was briefly stunned. The tiny pearls in my hand seemed to burn. No wonder mermaids' looks didn't change at night, so their tears could reduce pollution value. I tucked the pearls into my sleeve, grabbed the rope, climbed aboard, tumbled over the side. The night sea seemed even vaster. The mermaids reluctantly turned back to bid farewell. I opened my palm. A few pearls, under the moonlight, gleamed with a soft sheen. Took one and swallowed it. A system alert rang in my head. Notification of reduced pollution. 1 pearl. Reduced it by 10.5. Once pollution dropped below 10, it stopped changing. The pollution danger was temporarily lifted. Next, time to check the storage room on level 1. I figured there must be clues waiting there. Using my pearl hairpin, I unlocked the heavy lock on that door. This lock-picking skill I learned from a locksmith as a kid. Holding a candle, I carefully descended the stairs. The further down, the colder. The chill grew stronger. I walked for a while, until my feet finally hit the floor, raising my candle to light up the room ahead. The scene before me stunned me into stillness. This was no storage room. It was clearly a slaughterhouse. At the center sat a massive table, stained with blood, scattered with unknown flesh. Pinching my nose, I raised the candle and began searching around. Passing a huge stone vat, I suddenly heard from the storage entrance a faint rustling sound. My body reacted before my mind did. I blew out the candle without hesitation, lifted the stone jar lid and climbed in. Just as I got in, I immediately regretted it. Behind me came rapid, faint breathing sounds. I couldn't see anything, but I knew clearly there was someone else in this jar. I couldn't speak, and this person stayed silent too. Two people sat in the darkness, listening to the sounds outside. A gruff voice spoke up first. "Why is that lock open, Zach? Did you forget to lock the door?" "Bullshit. You think him like you?" The man named Zach spat. His words came out slowly, and I held my breath. While listening to the outside, I kept wary of the stranger beside me. Why was this person so still? Could he be dead? The other man asked suspiciously. Soft footsteps suddenly sounded outside, seeming to stop right before the stone jar. My heart leaped instantly. I gripped my dagger tightly. "You've gagged him, tied his hands and feet. How could he struggle?" Zach said impatiently. "It's almost dawn. We need to go. Hurry up." I suddenly realized the person they mentioned was likely the one behind me. The footsteps outside faded into the distance. Whether the one behind was friend or foe, I had no idea. My eyes sharpened, the dagger in my hand pressed against that person in the dark. The man behind me stopped breathing. A faint gurgling sound came from his throat. He seemed to want to speak. I couldn't tell his intention. I hesitated for a moment. If he had wanted to expose me when those two were here, he could have done it, but he didn't. Maybe he had something to say. I reached out my other hand, feeling around. I pulled out the cloth stuffed in his mouth. "Gods of the sea, bless me." He let out a heavy sigh of relief. His voice was very weak. "You have a dagger. Cut the ropes on my hands and feet now." As I hesitated, I suddenly heard noises outside again. I still wasn't reassured. "Let me check on the woman in the vat. If he dies, the prince will be furious." I gripped the dagger tightly, listening to the heavy footsteps growing closer outside. In the darkness, I cut the ropes binding the woman. A faint light flickered through the gap in the lid. It seeped in. Heavy footsteps stopped outside the stone vat where we hid. I held my breath. I gripped the dagger tightly. There was only one chance. Finally, the lid of the stone vat was lifted from outside. He held up a candle. The dim candlelight illuminated his face. He had a thick beard. On his right cheek, there was a knife scar. He clearly looked like a bad man, like a venomous snake lurking in the dark. I swiftly and cleanly plunged the dagger into his throat. His eyes flew wide open. He seemed to want to say something, but only a gurgling sound came from his throat. He didn't even let out a cry. The dead man stared right at me. His towering frame toppled backward, slammed onto the ground with a dull thud. What was that? Not far away, Zach's shout rang out. "Jack, what the hell are you doing?" I quickly calmed down, acting decisively. I hid behind the stairwell. Footsteps grew closer. Following them, Zach's loud voice. Who killed you?" Zach spotted it instantly. Jack's body on the floor. Zach flew into a rage. He scanned the area, but found no killer. He quickly realized. Whirling around, he faced a gleaming dagger. I raised my hand, trying to plunge the dagger into Zach, but he was too fast. He grabbed my throat. I clutched his hand, trying to pry it off, but it felt like iron. I couldn't budge it. My consciousness faded. Was I going to die here? Just as I was blacking out, Zach's grip suddenly loosened. I collapsed to the floor. I opened my eyes in disbelief. That mountain of a man fell before me. I leaned against the wall. Through blurry vision, I saw behind Zach, the person standing there, that mysterious woman, holding the dagger Zach had kicked away, staring in terror at it all. "By the sea god, what have I told?" His body trembled, muttering prayers non-stop, begging the sea god's pardon. I rose, bracing against the wall, dipped my finger in the blood, wrote on the clean floor nearby, "The sea god will forgive you." I looked at Alien, him investigating the truth of the maid's disappearance. "You're Emma, right?" "Emma?" 2 tears rolled down her face. It's me. The prince is a total pervert. I saw him with my own eyes, right before me. Kill a maid who worked with me. As Emma finished speaking, the system's voice rang in my head. Congratulations, player. Solved the maid's disappearance mystery. Received side quest reward. Magical seasoning. Description: this is a magical seasoning, just to add a bit to the food. No one can resist its wonderful taste, maybe with a numbing side effect. I brought Emma back to my room. Daylight was already seeping through the clouds. Finally relaxed. Completely drained of strength, couldn't hold on anymore. Closed my eyes and fell asleep. I went to the kitchen and found a blade. I found your sister. I pulled Lily to a secluded corner, got straight to the point in writing. The look on Lily's face went blank for a moment, as if in disbelief. Where did you find her? Where is she now? Tell me now. I want to see her immediately. I put on a sad face, frowning with some difficulty. You must help us. Dinner time. I suddenly heard noise outside. People were running back and forth, as if searching for something. I was preparing to cut potatoes, realized they might have found the 2 lines in the storeroom. Then a man burst in. He trotted over to Eric and whispered something. Eric's smile deepened. He took a sip of black tea, but his smile suddenly vanished. His eyes turned cold and fierce. Who brewed this tea? Are you trying to scald me? I watched Eric leave, lost in thought. It was just a cup of tea. Why was the prince so angry? Early on the 4th day, as per the usual routine. After writing, I went to dine. Grace looked the way I looked at you. But you were excited, voice brimming with excitement. Tomorrow is the wedding. It will be quite lively. Eland, be my bridesmaid, Grace said with sudden enthusiasm. I was slightly stunned. I gave an awkward smile. She gave me no chance to refuse, and I couldn't refuse. So after breakfast, Grace dragged me to try on dresses. The dress fit me surprisingly well. Aside from hindering movement, it had almost no flaws. I felt uneasy, tugging at the hem. This dress was too restrictive. I planned to kill Eric tonight, without the wedding host. The wedding couldn't proceed. At midnight, I opened the door. I prepared everything today. With thorough preparation, Eric's night attack power would surge. To kill him with my own hands, I had Lily add sleeping pills into the web's meal. At this moment, Eric should be sound asleep. I walked to Eric's door, slid the dagger into the gap, opened the door easily. I held my breath, walked slowly to the big bed. Moonlight lit the figure in bed. I took a deep breath, raised the dagger in my hand. The dagger reflected moonlight. A cold gleam flashed, landing right on Eric's eyes. The sleeping web, his eyelids twitched, showing signs of waking. Novels and dramas taught me, at such a moment, any sudden move would mean my death. My face turned cold. I slashed down without hesitation. The sharp dagger stabbed toward Eric's heart. Just as it was about to pierce her chest, someone suddenly grabbed the dagger. I stared wide-eyed at Eric, awake somehow. On her terrifying face, a genuine smile appeared. One hand gripped the dagger tightly, palm touching the blade. Made a sizzling sound like burning. This dagger was indeed lethal to her. No time to be surprised. I pressed both hands on the hilt, pushed down with force. The smile on Eric's face gradually couldn't hold back. Painful screams erupted. White smoke rose from her palm, finally unable to bear it. She released her grip, dreaming while clutching her hand. The dagger in my hand met no resistance. Driven by inertia, it plunged straight into her chest. How dare you? Eric's eyes widened. A hoarse roar escaped his throat. The sound echoed, like some kind of organ, resounding in the air. You think this can kill me? Eric's breath gradually faded away. I pulled out the dagger, staring at the wound in his chest. Blood gushed out. They say the blood still needed to be smeared on my legs for me to become a mermaid again. I stored the collected blood. I couldn't help but glance at Eric in bed. She lay in a pool of blood, her eyes wide open. I held back my grief, then quickly left Eric's room, returned to my own room. I washed my face, cleaned the blood off my body. Bracing myself on the sink, I couldn't help but doubt. Eric died just like that. Wasn't it all too easy? I had already killed the prince with my own hands. Now I just had to wait until morning. There was no heart wolf there, no way to retrieve it. Everything would go as she had planned. I washed up behind me, took out the collected blood from my pocket, planning to examine it more closely. The moment I saw what was inside, my pupils contracted. The bottle in my hand slipped from my grasp in shock. With a crisp shattering sound, the contents scattered. It wasn't blood at all. It was clearly countless writhing maggots. I stared at those squirming maggots, unease in my heart growing ever stronger. "Miss Emma, you're awake." A sweet voice rang in my ears. All my doubts vanished instantly. The maid held a white lace gown, an exaggerated smile on her face, revealing 2 rows of neat teeth. "Today is the wedding day. The wedding is by the sea. The prince and princess await you." I straightened myself, lifted my head to the maid. Eric is still alive, but I clearly used that dagger to pierce her heart. Why is she still alive? I changed into the dress, followed the maid to the seaside. It had been decorated into a wedding scene, filled with white flowers. "Emma, so glad to see you." Grace trotted over, grabbed my hand. She wore an elaborate blue wedding dress, a crown studded with jewels on her head, dazzling and bright. Yet a strange feeling welled up in me. Why was Grace's wedding dress blue in color? Before I could think further, music began to play. Something was placed in my hand, a basket full of petals. The guests on both sides had smiles on their faces, already offering words of blessing. Eric, who died by my hand last night, stood at the end of the aisle, a strange smile on his face, staring at me without blinking. Wrong, wrong, wrong. I had stopped walking, finally understood. The rule stated that the princess was fair and kind. She wore a white dress, but now the one in white was me. Ariel was the mermaid princess, so the princess in the rules was me myself. Everyone below stood up at some unknown point, facing my direction. They spoke in unison. The wedding had begun. "Ariel, I told you, no escape." Eric stepped forward, his handsome face twisted grotesquely. "From the first time I saw you, you seemed familiar, until that day on the ship. I finally remembered. The day I was shipwrecked. You saved my life." He threw his head back laughing, bursting into the wind. "In this world, mermaids truly existed. The sea god gave me a mermaid. You will be my perfect prey." He expected me to panic and weep in despair, but I smiled. Unlike myself, did I really remain unaware of all this? Time returned to day 3. On the 3rd morning, I took out the hairpin Lily gave me, intending to give it to Emma, but the moment I handed it over, I stopped. In that instant, perhaps instinct saved me. I didn't mean it. Recalling the first night, when I met Lily, everything felt wrong. I withdrew the hairpin, picked up pen and paper again. I had overlooked a question. "Emma, could you tell me, how exactly were you captured by the prince?" Emma read my question. Lulu, deep resentment flashed in her eyes. Her face nearly twisted. "All thanks to my dear sister Lily." She gritted out each word. She and Lily entered the castle together. At first Lily didn't like cooking. On the contrary, cooking was what Emma loved. But everything changed after Lily met the prince. She said the prince was the most handsome man she'd seen. She heard he loved fine cuisine. So Lily pestered Emma to teach her all her skills. By a stroke of luck, she finally won the prince's favor. Lily began to fear, afraid that one day the prince would taste her sister's cooking and know hers wasn't the best. Her fear grew stronger. She thought if her sister vanished, she'd never have to fear again. The prince would only crave her dishes forever. So Lily killed her sister with her own hands. She had long known the prince's strange taste and willingly cooked for him, even offering up her own sister. Emma paused here, nearly grinding her molars to dust. "It'll make her see how foolish her choice was," she said viciously. I pondered, then wrote down, "I have a plan to save you and get revenge. You're twins. I'll lure her here. You knock her out. Swap clothes with her. From now on, you are Lily, and she's the missing Emma." Why are you laughing? That's Yawa's one flaw. Expressing her thoughts is just too difficult. I took out my brush and scribbled quickly. "Prince, don't you smell something special? What a time for this." Still fighting over nothing. Eric wanted to mock me, but his mouth suddenly twitched involuntarily. An irresistibly tempting aroma drifted over. Saliva flooded his mouth. Lily pushed a pot of stew forward, standing face to face with me. We'd exchanged knowing smiles. That magic seasoning finally proved useful. Everyone at the wedding wept, crying uncontrollably to the roadside. Eric joined the scramble for food. Their true nature, at this moment, was fully revealed. Eric leaned over the pot, blowing on the scalding stew, sucking it into his mouth, relishing the painful look after being burned. I frowned slightly. The magic seasoning's real effect emerged. All who drank the stew were paralyzed in place. The stew in the pot ran dry. Eric's belly bulged. He collapsed, unable to move. A flash of panic crossed his face, then vanished instantly. His expression turned smug and arrogant again. "I don't know how you managed that." I shook my head and walked to him, looking down at him from above, then drew my dagger, let out a soft chuckle. Why, after stabbing the dagger into the prince's heart, he still didn't die. I could only think of one explanation. For the prince, the heart was the fatal spot. So where was his fatal spot? I crouched down, dagger in hand, reached out my free hand, grabbed Eric's chin. Eric, who seemed lifeless moments ago, suddenly snapped his eyes open. A flicker of poorly hidden panic in his eyes. What are you doing? As everyone knows, the prince was a gourmand. What mattered most was undoubtedly his tongue. By day, the prince was graceful, but on one ordinary day, he raged over a cup of scalding tea. I found it strange then. It was such a small thing, a trivial little matter, but the key point was, the scalding tea would burn his tongue and cause him pain, because his tongue was his weak spot. Now was the time to prove my theory. I pried open Eric's mouth. Under his terrified gaze, I raised the dagger and struck without hesitation. Eric let out a pained scream. He flailed his mouth, unable to speak without a tongue. Only anguished moans escaped his throat. Congratulations, player. Quest complete. Having survived successfully and earned the title of Chosen One, I appeared once again in the void where I first entered the dungeon. Congratulations, player. You've obtained the Assimilation Tome. The Assimilation Tome. It devours the private belongings of assimilated figures, and based on the player's needs, spits out related skill cards. A thick book appeared from midair and flew into my arms. The Assimilation Tome flipped open its pages. Within the pages, a massive gaping mouth appeared. Sharp teeth clattered open and shut. The Assimilation Tome ate happily. Then facing the ground, it spat out a skill card. The gourmand's tongue. As a gourmand, the prince possessed a tongue that could savor fine cuisine. Use the skill card. Instantly gain the ability to taste food. One-time use item. Good luck. Mr. Crow is watching me now. Next game time. In 7 days. First island of the journey. Good luck in your next game. Die soon.